It's 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Would you please stand as we salute the United States flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. And now a prayer.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for gathering us here today and helping us to make some good decisions and to honor all these good kids and the staff and the board tonight as well. And we want to say a special prayer for Mary Ann's dad, who passed away recently. He was a great educator in this area, and that's what we strive to be, just like him. It's your name we pray. Amen. All right. Well, the band are here tonight. We're going to honor staff and students. It all revolves around the band. So we got the band staff here, and we got a few of the representatives from the band and color guard, just because we couldn't invite the whole crew. There's so many. And so I wanted to start by saying, first of all, what an amazing accomplishment to go to state 3 times in a row, back to back to back. And so that's very impressive. So let me get this right. So in 22, we got 18th place. In 23, we got 12th place, and this year we got 8th place. And so we keep improving, broke the top 10. I mean, that's extremely difficult, very competitive. Those bands that show up, they come in these great big huge 18-wheelers, and now we've got ours, so we fit in. And so that's one thing we wanted to thank the board tonight too, the new instruments, the new uniforms, the 18-wheeler, the band boosters helped as well. Teresa Johnson, is she going to come back again next year?
We're trying to twist our arm into it. So.
Yeah. Even with Easton graduating, we'd sure like for her to come back. But so these guys, I mean, as soon as one ends, they start planning for the next one, and that takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. Getting the choreographer, wrestling twins. There's all kinds of stuff that has to take place for this to happen. And I remember one state contest, the twins did their Halloween trick-or-treating. And then this marching contest, we just had another baby. And the baby's here tonight.
Yes, over here.
That's great. That's great. 3 future band members. So we're excited. But I want to recognize, so all the teachers, instructors are Jose Sanchez. Mike Hamilton's out tonight. He's ill, under the weather. Corbin Myers is here. Joanna Reynolds is here. Alexis Sanchez is here. G.D. Collins is here with color guard, and then Jennifer Blanchard couldn't make it. And then, kids, when I call your name, you guys come up and we've got a certificate for you. We picked some of the leaders from each of the subsections of the band to kind of represent all the students tonight. And so we're glad they could be here as well. So first up, let's go with Emery Wood. She's representing color guard. Is Emery here? Yes. Sarah Kidd. Sarah is also representing color guard. Do we have Elena Risk, also color guard? JC Shelton, leadership. Alex Johnson, drum major. Alex comes to every meeting. Josh Appleman, drum major. And Jose Sanchez. We'll start getting these teachers up here. Someone wrestled the kids. Corbin Myers. It takes a village.
It takes some.
Alexa, can you make it up here?
Josh is dancing. I can try.
Okay.
Girl, no.
The kids can be in the picture too. Yes.
Yeah, bring them.
Joanna?
I'm pretty sure we have
Jeannie Collins.
the whole gang. Okay. Come on. They were different today. We're always scared.
Can you stand right here?
Joel, oh, yeah, I'm getting it.
You guys stand next to Joel. Stand next to Joel.
Eleanor,
Are they gonna get, can you get everybody in
I
there?
can get everybody, it might be a little close.
Thanks, Kenny.
Okay, everybody count three, we'll make a copy. There we go, look up here.
Look at the camera.
Say cheese.
Thank you, guys. So guys, how many of y'all are seniors that are here? Oh, so we're losing quite a few.
Except Josh.
Okay. No pressure, Joshua.
You gotta go.
Appreciate y'all, crazy.
Fantastic group, great job, guys. Thanks, y'all. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
You want to take care of the twins?
That's how we keep those speeches short, bring the kids.
That's right, that's right. Yeah. I was like, thank y'all.
You're still on.
Well, let's see, Roger Miller, I don't know if he'll be able to make it tonight, but I know he really enjoys coming and making the proclamation and bragging on you guys. He's a great product of GISD. Not quite as good as me, but almost. Roger's a good guy, and I know he'll get that paperwork to us here eventually. But the construction guys at the high school made these great plaques for y'all, and one senior in particular, Bo Ayers, spent a tremendous amount of time. There's a special machine that does this, and he's one of the few kids in the high school that learned how to do it. And he really wants to use it to get a job later on as he graduates, because it's a skill that is good to have. And so,
Did y'all see these?
yeah,
They're pretty.
they do a great job.
It's a CNC machine.
Yep.
Did
Education
you
is
say,
not
what does it
preparation
say?
for life.
She said, oh, it says education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. John Dewey.
And they got the right horn on.
Yeah.
Can I get a picture of all of y'all standing out here holding
Yes.
your plaques?
Yes. Yep.
That's great.
Mackenzie, you would get that?
No.
You
I'm
sure?
good with you. I'm just getting out of the way.
They're pulling off their coats.
Stand on the end, maybe they'll cut it out. Yeah, get crossed.
Fair.
Okay, perfect. Okay, count of three. 1, 2, 3. There we go, thank you.
Thanks, David. Well, let's give these guys a hand. In thinking of the board's accomplishments, I feel like the most incredible one was, one, the balanced budget in the face of no funding from the state, basically. And then all the different things that you guys helped to do, even on the limited funds, like still giving the staff a raise, able to buy the band, the choir, the band uniforms and different things like that. I know that's difficult, and so it requires a lot of tough decisions, and we sure appreciate y'all doing it. And especially, so many of y'all have served multiple years. Marianne, how many years have you been on the board now?
This is starting my 21st.
21st. Wow. Yeah.
Well, kind of in the half.
Yeah.
I got elected in May, so, but the election got moved now to November, so
Huh.
I'm getting an extra half year.
Wow. It was so long ago. We did it in May back then. Huh?
I know.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Anybody else got more than 21? Y'all still, but you still have multiple years though. I know that there's a lot of boards that have quick turnover. They do 3 years and 3 out. It's so good for you guys to stay with it, because that stability and continuity really helps. It helps the kids, helps the district, and I think it makes the staff more at ease as well. And I don't know about y'all, but I read these horror stories sometimes about these boards that have these big contentious fights, and there's name calling and cursing and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, ooh, I'm glad that that's not here. So we're proud of you guys.
You never know.
That's right. We're still the night's young.
It's always the executive session.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and Liz brought pizza for you guys. So when we go to executive session, there's pizza in the lounge for y'all to eat. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Liz wants a raise.
She probably needs one.
That's
She's
right.
needs it for all of it.
That's right.
Okay, are there any public comments?
Sir.
No one signed up, so we'll move on to public hearing on the Texas Performance Report.
This is our annual review, the TAPER report, Texas Academic Performance Report comes out every December. And we have 90 days to present it to the board. I don't know if this will work. Pull the slides. Maybe I can operate it. The TAPER report is 33 pages. The glossary that explains the TAPER report is 48 pages. And we have 64 slides to go through tonight. So we're not going to go through all of it. I'm going to hit the
Next
highlights.
thing on our agenda.
I'm going to summarize because the TAPER report is not really designed in a user-friendly way. They break down information differently. They break it down by ethnicity, and that's not how we teach them. That's not how we group our students by ethnicity. We look at those that need help and help them. And so we need to know what they're testing over the TEKS, and then who didn't understand that so that we can help them the next year, because this is going off the year before's testing results. So this is for 2024.
Scott, is this what you want right here?
That's the TAPER report. There should be a slideshow, slide presentation. That's the glossary. There we go.
He's in your drive.
It's not going to work in the drive.
Do you want us to, is it saved?
Well, I can tell you which slide to turn to if you want to look
Okay.
at the slides.
Okay.
Might give you a migraines flipping through because the TAPER report and the slides do not match up. And so it's not page 9 on the TAPER report and slide number 9. The slides are the templates provided by the state, but it's not in the same order. And so it's a little hard to go back and forth, but that's the state for you. They know that the report's not user-friendly, so they give you a slide that doesn't match the report so that you can do it more easily. I don't know.
Makes sense, huh?
We'll go through it. So the TAPER report, if you'll go down a little bit more, there's some overview slides over the whole report. Slide number 3, they often ask, where did you pass? That's what everybody wants to know after a test. Parents get the report cards and they say, did they pass? And so did we pass or not? And if you go to slide number 3, you can see that our accountability has not been issued yet because it's still tied up in the courts. There's litigation on the fairness of their accountability system and their practices, so we don't have the grade from the state. It doesn't matter because we do have the test results back, we have the test, and we know which kids need the help, and so we unpack these every year so that it kind of sets up our interventions and our lessons and unit planning and that nature. So whenever that comes out, we'll be presenting that to you as well after they get through their court going on. So slide 4, after this meeting it'll be posted on our webpage, but you have the TAPER report and the glossary and the slides in your packet, so when you were reviewing them over the weekend, if you have any question on the slides, just let me know and we'll dive down deep into answering your questions. If you want to go down to slide 29, if you can do that easily, it should change the color of the graphs to like a pink and a red. Oh, back up. Are they numbered for you over there, Barrett?
It says 26 of 61. Well, I'll get close enough for you.
Okay. And so if you want to look at all grades and all subject areas, we did better than the state and better than the region. We were 76%, the state was 75%, and the region was 73%. And that's taking all test takers and all subjects to say, how did we do? And so we did better than the state, and we also did better than our region. The state's the main goal that we want to always be better. We want to outpace them. They're the ones that make us take this test, so we want to do better than they do. So we're comparing it all across all the other schools in the state of Texas. So that's just that slide for that presentation. We're going back to slide 8 towards the top. And this is how we broke it down to kind of make it a little bit more sense for us. We broke it down by grade level and by subject area tested. Where is...
Here's 3 through 8 reading.
He's towards the top.
Further
It
up.
should be a graph. It's not in there. Well, this is going to be a lot longer review. It should be a spreadsheet. This number here. I don't know if it was is it in one of the auxiliary reports?
Let me scroll through this real quick.
Or I have it on my slides if you want to plug my machine in. I don't know how it'll mess you up.
Our tables are up and down instead of,
This is a slide that I added so that it would make it more easier, but now that we can't find it, it's making it more harder. But we broke it down by each one, how we did compared to the state, and the ones that we did not do well against the state. And so I'll have this printed out so that I'll give you a copy, a handheld copy to look at it, and we can always answer questions on it. There were several areas that we were not, did not do well, and we're always pacing ourselves against the state. And 5th grade reading, it was a 74%, and the state was 79. And the other reading topic area was 8th grade reading. The state was 81 and we were 79. So we didn't miss it by much, but we were lower than the state in those two areas. All the other reading areas were above the state. Science, 5th grade science was 58 by the state and we were 52. Science caught us by surprise because it's usually a good subject area for us. They're changing the TEKS and changing some things up, but still, we've always been strong in science, so that took us by surprise. We have an 8th grade social studies, missed it by 1. The state was 60 and we were 59. And so just a little tweaking in that area. Math is one that had covered more multiple grade levels, and math has always been one of those areas that we're trying to regain a lot of lost instruction over the COVID era. And so we're trying to get back to those pre-COVID levels that we had. And math is still one that we're still behind in. 5th grade math was 77 in the state and we were 64. 6th grade math, the state was 72 and we were 63. 7th grade math was 56 and the state was 56, but we didn't do better than them, so they're on the list. And so we want to make sure we watch math in that area. And then 8th grade math, the state was 72 and we were 68. And so that's just three percentage points there, but we still we're behind them, and so math is a good focus area for us moving forward. So a couple of things that we've done with this in mind with the math is we have a benchmarking system now from 3rd grade all the way through 12th grade called our MAP system, and it benchmarks us, and that's also used for our incentive allotment to see growth in the students. And then we have another software program called IXL that matches with MAP, so you have a individualized plan. So a student doesn't do well on a MAP, it shows us which area, which TEK he's not doing well in, and then we have resources to help support that. And so an IXL program is what we used for our AIP, our Advanced Instruction Program. Those that failed the STAR test had to have extra help coming in, and so we used that program to help us get them back on pace or back up to grade level in that area. So we've been using that this year, and we hope to see the results when we take our test here in the spring. And another area that we want to focus on is in our PLCs. That's our professional learning communities, that's our teacher teams. We want to be able to pull them in together and bring the data that we just got through and dive deep into it. And every year we unpack it, every year we take the test, but how deep are we going into the data? And we want to make sure that we're doing that in our teams. And so we want to shore up our PLC process, make sure we're using that benchmark data to drive the next instruction. And we want to kind of have a theme for our professional development moving into next year, starting in August and the different PD days during the year, is to say, hey, this is the data that we're using to dive into, so make sure everybody has it, the teams have it, and then start looking at how we're going to attack those students that need remediation. And we also want to think about enrichment, because after we go through the scores, the TAPER report breaks it down by ethnicity. That doesn't do anything for us. But when we break it down by student, we always get those surprises. How did that student miss that one? Where did they go wrong on that one? Because in class they do well or whatever it might be. There's always those surprises. Well, the state can ask a question in 1,000 different ways to see if you know the information. So we have to go back and dive in and make sure those that we think have it are being enriched to do it in different ways. A different way of seeing the information, so that they're also not just waiting for those that need remediation. We're pushing those forward that need the enrichment part as well. And that IXL program matches with our MAP testing. So even if you're in the high quartile of your grades and percentages, you still have some room to grow, and you still have some help with some resources there. And so that's the plans that we're trying to attack. We always want to do better than the state, and we're really focusing on our PLC group so that we can pull the teams together. What resources do you need? And let's try to get those resources for you. And then we also evaluate the resources that we have. The tight budget was, one of the things, how much software do we have out there that we're not universally using? And so let's dive into those resources, and if we're not using them, get them off the budget and then use the resources to the fullest extent that we do have. And so that we're investigating all the software that we have to make sure we're maximizing that usage. And then now with AI, I don't want to blow anybody's mind, but we also have the internet AI, artificial intelligence, which is also a handy tool once we figure it out and lasso it in to say how can it help us do better on lesson planning and lots of different things. So we're looking really heavy into our resources that we can hopefully get these scores up to support the teachers. They're all working hard, and then you stop everything to take a test and you don't know how the test is going to be given or what answers or questions are going to be there, and then we have to look at it for whenever your students are leaving. And so that teacher, that group doesn't have a chance to remediate and work with the school kids that they've had all year. This moves on to the next grade level. And so then the next grade level has to learn the kids and then also bring that information with them to see how it might need to be improve their lessons and things of that nature.
I told Scott today during our leadership meeting and the rest of them there that I'm fearful that the state is going to really usher in a very difficult set of STAR tests this spring. Because one, I think they're aggravated that the lawsuits have kept prior years in limbo. Two, if they're able to make public school students look not so great on accountability, it further pushes their voucher system, which at this point we're not necessarily against the vouchers passing. We feel like it's an inevitable thing. We'd rather just get the money, finally, the funding that comes with it. Out of the House and Senate, fairly similar packages are being promoted to where public school would get about $4 to $5 billion and private school would get about $1 billion. But if you divide those two numbers by the amount of students at each of those two entities, it's a lot less per student funding in public school than it is the privates. And so I don't know how they're going to hammer out, well, is the private school going to have the door audit? Are they going to give the STAR test? Are they going to have the auditors up here? Unlikely. And so it won't be exactly a level playing field, but we have to do the best we can and prepare the kids the best we can to do the test. And hopefully they're getting a little bit more used to it being online. Drag and drop, not just multiple choice, all kinds of fill in the blank. It's difficult. I feel like at times the state is not testing what they know, but how well they can take a test. And that's unfortunate. I'd rather them just test them on the content. So we're going to hit it hard and heavy here in the spring and try to prepare them as best we can.
I'll have a copy of this the spreadsheet that I read off for y'all whenever y'all go back to executive session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Scott.
Consent agenda are those things that we agree, just automatically approve. And I didn't go too far. Minutes of December 16th, financial statements as of December 31st, bills and payrolls for December 24, budget amendments, year-to-date budget amendments to fund balance, vital signs report, food service report. Does a board member want to pull any of those? Do I hear a motion that we go ahead and accept them? Okay, Cheyenne, any further discussion? All in favor? And that passes. Annual review of educational philosophy.
Okay, we have 3 housekeeping items to begin with on the information. So it's hard to believe that strategic planning, remember all that stuff that we did with that? That's been 8 years ago. That's hard to believe. And I remember one thing that big group kept reiterating is don't let it just sit on the shelf, let it actually guide what you're doing. And so we've kept it and we've been using it, and so we hate to, as much work is put into that, do a bunch of changing to it. Always remind everybody that Dr. Willie Clark's doing what's best for kids was elevated from just the slogan to the actual mission statement for the school district. And the only thing that I could see maybe in the future that we might change would be on the portrait of a graduate. Under the technology section, we may need to add some sort of blurb about AI. The artificial intelligence is becoming such a big deal, and it's going to become such a major component of kids' classroom experience, and what they use to help them on assignments that I think we're gonna have to keep ahead of that. And it's not that we don't want the kids to use it, we just wanna make sure that they use it appropriately and cite it when they use it and things like that.
So where are you thinking that we need to put that?
The Portrait of a Graduate, that's a
I
little
know.
one pager
But what part, just add it to,
under technology.
okay,
Yeah. Right now, under the Portrait of a Graduate, well, it's hanging up there.
okay. I see.
It says at the very bottom, like, when they leave here, they'll know how to do simple spreadsheets and presentation tools, discern what's real and what's probably fiction off the internet. But I think we need to add something about artificial intelligence and preparing them for, beyond with that. I don't know exactly how we'll word that, but I think that'll be coming somewhat soon.
Yeah.
Any other advice or things we need to change on any of that or update? Or y'all still feel pretty good about it?
I
Okay.
think that's a very important part to add, because
Yeah.
a lot of things you see are not true.
Yeah.
And kids need to know that.
Yes, yeah. It can be a promising thing, but also a scary thing. I saw where they had a picture of 2 mammograms, and one of them had, it was 5 years prior to the second one. So the same image, 5 years apart. AI could detect this little tiny, minuscule, almost to the eye dot in the one 5 years ago that the doctors wouldn't have caught. And then when it fast forwarded 5 years later, the spot was about that big and it was cancerous. And so they're saying that things like that could really help in medicine, using that AI assistant when you're doing things to see things or know things that you wouldn't normally maybe have the forethought to do. So. And it will also help you cheat on an assignment, so give them thanks.
Review of board operating procedures.
Okay, that next item, again, is pretty mundane. It's got all the different procedures on how you handle complaints and respond to media, and if you get an anonymous letter, what do you do with that? And all of that's in our policy. It is pretty unchanging, and TASB guides a lot of our things on that. So with TASB and our school lawyers reviewing it, I don't think there's really anything that we need to add or change, unless there's something you think we need to address that's been a pressing item or something. I couldn't really think of anything as far as operating procedures that we would need to change. Are y'all kind of good with that?
Okay, board activity calendar.
And that's the calendar that kind of by month reminds us as a team of what to do. Like January is always the meeting where we have school board appreciation and we look at my evaluation and just different things that every month there's a different little laundry list as a reminder, like, hey, don't forget February, do this. And we tweak that too along the way, and I don't think, I didn't see anything else that needed tweaking.
Okay.
All right.
Update on potential bond.
So, since our past meeting, I was able to meet with our architect, Mary O'Brien. She was the one who helped us through the last high school renovation. And what we wanted from Mary was, first of all, not to do a bunch of work because she'll start charging us, but to get a price approximation on what things are going for currently. And before you have extreme sticker shock, let me warn you, it's all gone up tremendously. And she was very upfront with that even before we sat down and she went over some things. But here are some ballpark figures that I think would be the upper end of what we would get these things for. I think we could possibly get it cheaper. But as far as priorities and the things that we talked about, our first priority, I think, is getting the kids off of Marshall Street to where they're not walking across the high school for their electives, because that presents a safety problem. And so building a new junior high band hall, choir room, and theater room, and you throw in some restrooms for the staff and students, that's $10 million. 10.6 million.
You're talking about renovating the theater there.
Well, this would be for a brand, not talking about at the junior high, erecting a brand new, what we don't currently have, band hall, choir room, and theater room there. And so The band hall, choir room, theater room have to have special acoustics, which make them more expensive than just a normal room and different things like that, but that would be around 10.6 million. Removing the two big portable buildings that sit kind of in the heart of the junior high campus. They're old, the underpinnings coming up, I think at times varmints get in there. Removing those and just building 4 regular classrooms and connecting the Mary Bishop gym to the main building. So again, this is another safety thing, that's 2.9 million. And then the third part of that priority, I would think, would be doing something to the auditorium, because it's so uncomfortable. I don't know if you've sat in the junior high auditorium recently or in the last 60 years, nothing has changed. It's very uncomfortable, wooden seats. The sound is not great. And so she said it would probably be around 3 million to do all new lighting, sound, seating, readjusting the acoustics, making that into like what the high school auditorium is like. And so that phase 1 would be probably around 16 million to do those things. A second phase would probably, right behind that, would be the field house located behind what's the visitor side now. And she said the field house would be around 12 million. That's what she has done recently for schools that are in the 4A type area. Here's where I think we could get something a lot cheaper. We had gotten a quote from a different vendor to have the press box and the stadium edition for more seating on the visitor side to make that home. We had gotten a quote for about $1 million. She said, no, that's about 8 million. So I feel like that once we get deeper into the process and we have competition of bids and things, that they're going to come in and get better prices as well. The third thing, if we were to add 6th grade back to the junior high, that's where things get really expensive. Because if you start touching things in the junior high, you have to make it all ADA compliant, which none of our restrooms are. I saw a mama in a wheelchair one day. She wheeled up to the restroom. She couldn't get in. Too narrow. All the asbestos in the flooring, all those types of things would have to be fixed along with that. And so getting the 10 classrooms and all that over here would be about 7 million. But then we'd have to expand the cafeteria because it's not enough to hold 3 grade levels. And if we did that, we would probably consume the library where it is now because there's just a wall separating those 2 rooms. And then we'd have to build a new library. And so that was, again, something we're going to have to think about down the line. That can't be done right now. I think the prices are just so high. Unless there's a mass reduction or slowing in the price, I think we're going to have to chunk this. Like I've told lots of people, this is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. This is something that you have to do over years, because what we don't want to have happen is get upside down in the money arena. We just want to be very cautious. Right now we have about 15.5 million outstanding in debt. That's from the high school and the elementary. So we're really talking to our financial advisor, Brian Grubbs. Isn't that a great name for a financial advisor, Grubbs? It's kind of like Crook is our insurance guy. He said we're in very good shape as far as debt. We've got, he said so many districts have huge, huge amounts of debt. And he said that we've done a good job of keeping that down. So anyway, that was some of the initial cost estimates that she gave us. So we can try to make a priority on what we might attack and what we have to wait on doing. Do y'all have any questions on any of that? Are y'all surprised by those numbers, or have you encountered so much of that in your own lives that you think, well, that's not that surprising?
I'm really not surprised.
Yeah.
No.
I like how you
What
broke
would
it
you
into.
do with the extra space at the intermediate?
I feel like that, like even right now, Angie is having to encroach on band, some of their little breakout rooms, just to have room for some of our like interventions. And so we're short on real estate there, which would alleviate that type of problem to where, okay, now this has freed up some rooms. A good problem, for example, right now 6th grade has 9 sections, 9 teachers. next year, our 5th grade coming up is so large, we're gonna have to go back to 10, which that's a good problem to have. But right now, we don't have, we're gonna have to do some rearranging.
Why did you, maybe there's not a reason, but like why is priority 3, number 3 and not number 2?
Just based on need, I felt like that the field house is in such bad shape. I don't know that the press box is a bigger priority, but the field house dressing rooms being so terrible, I think that part is. So. And again, this is all open to conversation and interpretation. I mean, we're not.
Well, I like
making-
how you broke it into phases. I
Yeah.
just was wondering why that was the last one.
And I don't know if we would get pushback from the public saying, now, well, why would you leave? You've got a perfectly good wing there for 6th grade. Why are you moving it? That's possible. They may say that. I think our counter to that would be the fact that it's a middle school grade level and that campus is running 2 bell schedules. You have 4th and 5th elementary and 6th grade secondary, and that sometimes it makes it difficult. But again, it's just.
It doesn't have to. You make the 6th grade more like an elementary school.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about how someone in a wheelchair can't go in the bathroom, that needs to be fixed.
It's possible we could get more pushback from the second one.
Oh, anything athletically oriented, people get really worked up on.
I mean, like, I feel like you can sell A and, I mean, 1 and 3 easier than 2,
Yeah.
personally.
One of the
Not
things.
that we don't need them all, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, I just.
But I hear what you're saying, but I also think that 2 is probably more, I hear what you're saying, it's true. But 2
I just mean
is-
selling it to the public, I don't mean, yeah.
But, yeah, because I think 2
What's a need?
is probably a I mean, that field house is just awful.
Because the field house is student oriented enough, she felt like that it could be intertwined with the academic stuff in one. But she said, by law, the press box and stadium ticket item has to be its own separate proposition under that bond. And she said that was a result of those big Metroplex, like Allen ISD's billion-dollar stadium, that the voters and the legislature made sure that that's not hidden in and amongst something like an academic thing, where you slip it in. It has to be its own separate.
And you did say some of these prices is.
I think she wants to give us what it would be at the most, so she could come in under it. But
Which is good.
for purposes of planning, it gives you this, like, it can also scare you away because it's like, well, I can't do that. It's too expensive. So that is the latest on the pricing of what things cost now. It's expensive. Do y'all have any other questions?
I wonder if there's any way you can do just a non-binding referendum with the public, just to kind of get a feel of what they would be interested in before you actually vote the bond.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to have like a, I don't know, like a town hall meeting or something,
Right,
yeah, to fill them out.
Kinda get a feel.
Yeah.
Maybe do some surveys in the community.
We could do what we did with security at the time, that meeting, before we did the,
Police, yeah.
yes, the police.
Or we could just get on Carroll County Breaking News and ask them.
That's the truth.
That works out well.
Based on what I just hear in the community, there's a really, really strong support for moving that stadium home side
Yeah.
over to the other one.
They're tired of looking in the sun.
Yeah, and when that building, when that place was built, I was in the 9th grade when it opened, and there was no such thing as daylight savings time.
Yeah.
So L.C. McCamey says it'll never be an issue because the games are all after the sun goes down.
Right.
And then we had daylight savings time after it was built.
Which may go away. We don't know.
That's right.
So.
Do you know what year was the junior, someone asked me, what year was the junior high building actually built?
66.
66.
Yeah. I've got the program, the original program, the grand opening was May of 66.
Wow. I wasn't even born.
Yeah. It's getting on.
Neither was I.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Back then, though, you received a
58.
lot of federal money where you could build those buildings too, schools, which
Yeah.
you don't have today.
That's right.
Any more discussion? Okay, search for athletic director.
Well, we had a shock right after Christmas. Aaron Hunter decided he was going to hang it up, and so we sure did hate to see him go. You know, he had done a couple of years with Luke as defensive coordinator, and then the last 3 as head coach, and was very successful. Won the 2 gold balls this year, and the boys really liked him, and he's got a really good team of coaches here as well. And so there was no convincing him not to quit, and even tried to kind of, well, would you want to do something here, just not be the head coach? And so we knew it was a lost cause as far as keeping him, and so we went ahead and posted it on January 15th. We have to have 10 business days click by, where I want to make sure, I don't even count the day that we had the cold weather and we stayed home. I want to make sure it's 10 days in session, so there's no disputing it. There's no debating and like, hey, wait a second, you didn't wait 10 days. And so we've been getting a pretty steady flow of applications coming in. I'd say there's probably around 15 or so in our system that have applied for it. And we also have our 2 internal candidates, the offensive coordinator, Jacob Hunter, and the defensive coordinator, Jose Aguirre. They've both expressed their interest in the job. And so we will, I think we've got plenty of good options to choose from. And we'll make the decision, and then this Friday is when we can announce the who will be proposing to the board to be the new head coach. So we will propose that person at the February board meeting. Unfortunately, we didn't have 10 days to be able to click by quick enough to get it to this one, and we don't want to rush it. And so we'll propose that to you guys in February for official consideration. Did y'all have any other questions about that? Okay.
It's exciting that we have that much depth in-house.
Yes. I think they've done a really good job with the culture and the buy-in, the numbers of boys participating, and to be that successful in such a horribly tough district, we're very proud of them. I think we have the toughest district maybe in the state.
Okay, we're going to move to action items if you don't have any more things to say about the coaching. Presentation of annual financial audit.
The auditor, Mr. Dane, double booked himself tonight. And so he said, I will get there later in the evening. And I said, Leanne relayed this message to him, we want a very, very short version of your report. And so we'll make sure that we get it, answer any questions y'all have, but he's supposed to come during probably our closed session. He'll show up and
All right,
can
we'll
ask
just skip over to E-rate contract.
We participate in a federal program called E-rate. So E-rate is a system administered through USAC, which is Universal Services Administrative Company, but it helps us pay for our internet and for our telecommunication services. So anything that falls in this program, we get monetary help from this program, and it's 80% them and 20% us. So it's a really good program that we participate in. So we do that every year, and they help us with things. So this year they pay for 80% of our internet service every month, and we also got about $15,000 worth of equipment to help make sure we have Wi-Fi everywhere and the kids can use everything, and our stadiums and our places like that have Wi-Fi. So tonight we're going to talk about what E-rate can do for us for next year. So y'all are coming in at the end of this big long process that we went through with an application and what we could do under that, because it has lots of very specific requirements for some things and what will qualify. And so we did all that, we got it through, we got it advertised, we got it done, and we had 6 contractors bid on what we could do. So some of the things that we were going to put in there, that we did put in there, is cabling, switches, wireless access points, upgrades, licenses district-wide, and then of course our internet service. So we had 6 bidders. we did a rubric and then we got it all approved, and that's what we're going to present to y'all tonight, is the one that we liked. It was Technology for Education was the company that we are proposing that we go with. We also had bids from One Stop Computer Shop, Taggle Rock Technologies, Optimus Technology, Lakeshore IT Solutions, and Edutiques. Technology for Education is a local company. We've done business with them before, and they're out of Waco, so we like that they're close. So the contract is for $154,000 worth of equipment and services, and so our portion, the 20%, would come in right around $31,000. And so we would like to continue to use this program as long as it's possible, and so we are asking y'all if y'all will accept the fact that we would like to go with Technology for Education and go ahead and enter into this program for next year's services. Any questions on that?
Can't beat that.
No. There's talk that E-rate's going to go away, and it has done hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of help for us every year for a long time. So we're hoping that it does not go away, but we'd like to utilize it as long as possible.
Do I hear a motion that we accept Technology for Education?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mary Ann. A second. Okay, Linda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
6th grade hands-on CPR.
Some representatives from Coriel Health approached Laura Winkler, and they have a program that teaches hands-only CPR, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's hands-only CPR. And they focus on elementary, intermediate age kids. And presented it to the SHAC committee. And out of the SHAC committee, we decided that our 6th graders would be the most appropriate to receive this instruction. They're about the age that they start staying home by themselves with siblings. Some of them are starting to babysit, maybe a little bit around that age. And so the Coriel Health Syntex RAC is composed of medical professionals from surrounding hospitals and EMS. Their statement says they're excited to be working towards increasing children's competency with hands-on CPR, and their goal is to provide age-appropriate instruction and hands-on practice for the students. They provide trained volunteers, nurses, doctors, and EMS personnel to guide the students through the hands-on portion. And since the SHAC committee reviewed the proposal and voted to bring it to you guys, I'm here to present it to y'all to sign off on and hopefully give your permission to allow them to come in and teach this hands-only CPR instruction to our 6th grade students. I've talked to Ms. Pearson. She's on board with it, and agrees that the 6th grade is probably most appropriate for her campus. And I'll answer any questions about it, provide as much information as I can.
Who did you say would be actually coming into the campus to do it?
It's a group of volunteers that Coriel Health recruits the volunteers. And I would assume it changes each location because of the timing of it. But it's comprised of doctors, nurses, EMS personnel, medically certified people. I don't have a list of names right now, but we would obviously get that up front beforehand to do the criminal backgrounds on that.
Any other questions?
The recommendation is that the board approve the Coriel Health representatives and the Syntex RAC to provide hands-only CPR for 6th grade students.
Do I hear a motion to accept? Linda, any further discussion? Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Good deal. Thank you.
Girls Athletic Coordinator.
Last item, with Aaron leaving, it kind of gave us the opportunity to think about the structure of our, kind of how we divide the labor. And currently, I feel like it's difficult on the head football coach to do a lot of assistant athletic duties, just because football is so time consuming. And so I think a lot of it falls back on Coach Phillips having to do everything, and which is tough. And also I don't want to get in a situation where we're burning football coaches out every 3 years because they're having to do so much. Not that that's what happened here, but I do worry about it a little bit. And so back when Kyle Cooper was here, Kyle was AD and head football coach, and then Ricky was the girls coordinator. And so thinking about our girls sports, especially team sports and alignment with junior high, and making sure that we recruit girl athletes and retain girl athletes. I felt like that's really a need in our district. And so if we can find the funds to do it, thinking about a position where we would have a girls athletic coordinator, to where they would be in those 7th and 8th grade junior high athletics, they'd be in all the high school girls athletics, 6th grade girls pre-athletics, and even keeping an eye on K through 5 PE and what the kids are learning as far as skills and things like that. I think the position also would need to maybe even coordinate some with our youth leagues to see that what we're doing is aligned and working. We encounter a lot of competitors where we'll go to a gym and we'll play a group of girls that have played basketball together since they were about 7, and it looks like it too. And it's hard for us sometimes to compete in some of those situations because we take girls from all over, piece them together, and then it's tough. And so I don't know, we need some ideas on how to develop our players, encourage them to be multi-sport. A lot of our girls' sports, we have maybe just a JV team, but not a freshman team because we don't have the numbers. And so I think somebody that could focus on all that would be really important. So
Would that person coordinate all the athletics through 12th grade? And would that person normally just be a coach that took on the extra duty?
yes, I think that the person, we've got to make sure their schedule is free for all the girls' athletic periods. But then the remaining periods, I think they could do things like PE and different, or whatever the person might be certified in.
And then all the boys' things would still be done by Ricky?
Yeah.
Well,
With the assistance of that. I like the head football coach having the title of assistant athletic director because they hold such an important position, but I think, I don't want to say it's in name only, but I don't want to put so much on that person that they just break, because it's so much to do.
So would they work under Ricky?
that's my question.
that
So he
would
would still be the,
understood.
I'm sorry, so he'll still be the head, and they're just assisting him.
Predominantly on the girls' side, and I would think in talking to Ricky, we'd give the person a lot of autonomy, to do some things and to try to make some changes. I don't think there's any massive sorts of things that we need to do, but there's a lot of little things I think we could do to get better. Any other questions?
What do we have with a low junior high as far as a PE teacher? I mean, to me, they just kick the balls out and y'all go have fun.
Mhm.
I've wondered for years why we haven't started dribbling the ball, shooting the ball, bumping the volleyball.
They do. It's not like the old days where they
It's
just
better.
roll the ball out. It is much better, yeah. But I feel like that it's become so competitive that it's going to have to be even more intentional than what we're doing right now.
Okay.
That's that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so they would be teaching these dribbling skills or shooting skills or whatever. We've been needing that for years.
Is that the pre-athletic, that's why y'all created?
Well, 6th grade is pre-athletics, but even before that, I think in their PE classes, it would be imperative for them to really make a concerted effort to work on some things that they're going to need when they're older.
And need to learn the basic skills.
The fundamentals.
Yes.
You said Ricky was that, before he became the AD, but should that be a female that could interact with the
Yes.
girls?
I feel like that's the logical thing.
I would think so.
Yeah.
We say that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's a great idea, because I
Right.
think it is. But sometimes I find it, the girls sometimes do a better job with males than they. Now, I too think, I'm not saying that
That's
that's
been the
not.
interaction on a
Yeah, I don't
on
know
a
why.
constant basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
I do
also-
think we need a female, but I'm
Yeah.
just throwing it out there.
So my recommendation would be if we can find it in the budget to do it, that we would create a girls' athletic coordinator position to begin next year.
Do I hear a motion to accept that? Okay, Linda, second. Calvin, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. This concludes the meeting. It's 6:24. We're going to executive session.